Good day. You'll continue on the lesson testing hypothesis on population proportions. Last meeting, we have discussed about this one but using the traditional method. This meeting, we'll have it using the probability value approach, or we shortly know it as the p-value approach. We'll be having two problems for this topic. Let's start with the first problem. Global warming. A survey is conducted to determine the opinions of people on global warming. In a random sample of 150 people, 108 think that global warming is a serious world problem. Is there sufficient evidence that the proportion of people who regard global warming as a serious problem is significantly higher than 60%? Use 1% level of significance, and we need to use the p-value approach. Now, what is the topic all about? Yes, it's all about the proportion of people who consider or who regard global warming as a serious world problem. That is our parameter of interest. Based on the parameter of interest, what is the proportion being claimed? In the question, it says that is there sufficient evidence that the proportion of people who regard global warming as a serious problem is significantly higher than 60%? Our null hypothesis is the one equal to population proportion. So we say that P is equal to 0.60. Or in a statement, we say the proportion of people who regard global warming as a serious problem is equal to 60%. Since the question signals a significantly higher, or we say it's a one-tailed, right-tailed test, so our alternative hypothesis is P is greater than 0.60. Since the sample size is 150, then we consider a large sample. Our assumption for large sample says a sample of 150 is large enough. By the central limit theorem, the data is normally distributed. Now, step 4 is our statistical test. Since the sample is large and we are on proportions, our statistical test is z-test for proportions. It's a one-tailed, right-tailed test. And as given, the level of significance is 0.01. Now in step 5, we need to compute our test statistic and p-value. I'll show you the procedure on how we got the test statistic of z equals 3 and a p-value of 0.0013. Let us solve our test statistic. The hypothesized population proportion is 0.60. Thus, our Q sub 0 is 1 minus 0.60, or P sub 0, and that is 0.40. Our observed population proportion, or our observed sample proportion, is X over N. We say there are 108 out of 150 who think of global warming as a serious problem. That gives us 0.72 out of 150 people. Let us solve for our z-test statistic. That is 0.72 minus 0.60 over the square root of 0.60 times 0.40 divided by 150. If we continue solving that one, we will get an answer of 0.3. And this is our test statistic z. Now let's solve for our p-value. Based on your z-table, the distance or the area covered from 0 to 3 is equivalent to 0.4987. Remember that from 0 to positive infinity, the area is 0.5. So we subtract this from 0.5. What's left in the tail is 0.0013. And this is our p-value. One-tailed, right-tailed. Now remember decision rule for the probability value approach. We say reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal to the alpha or to the level of significance. But we do not reject our null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than or alpha. In this problem, our p-value is 0.0013 and our alpha is set at 0.01. Our p-value is less than our alpha, and based on our decision rule, if the p-value is less than the alpha, we reject the null hypothesis. Thus we say, therefore, we reject the null hypothesis. Thus, the proportion of people who regard global warming as a serious problem is, we state, our alternative hypothesis, is significantly higher than 60%.